What's going on, everyone? Welcome to my very busy workshop. I am working on it. Have a lot of trucks. But what I wanted to do in this video is, I know I made a video a while ago back in the fall about the kind of comparing the Tmaxx and the Savage. And that was actually, I think it was a reasonable video and it was a reasonable comparison between the two. But what I really wanted to do was compare the original 3.3 Tmaxx, which is this, the 4909, with the original Savage X, not the 4.6 RTR, the 4.1. And the reason really is, I mean, those two trucks when I was younger than I am now, those were really the two trucks that I was between when I was considering my first nitro vehicle. I wanted something four-wheel drive. I wanted a monster truck because I thought they looked really cool. And, you know, long story short, I ended up going with the X 4.6. I was a little too young and I missed out on the regular X, the first Savage X that came out, which is this, the 4.1. And I think it's a really interesting comparison because they came out at pretty much around the same time, about, I think, for summer of 06 or something like that. And it was kind of the first version of each one, right? So obviously the Savage, brand new platform, brand new chassis, you know, a lot of things were revised for this truck. And the Tmaxx, while it was the same size as the 2.5 and 2.5R, 3.3 had a lot of upgrades. It had finally it had Revo-style transmission, Revo-style differentials, Revo-style drive shafts, and knuckles, which I'll show you really quick here. So here you can see Revo-style drive shaft, and there is a Revo spec diff. The transmission is the gray plastic, so that's how you know it's like that kind of that newer style. I mean, they're actually still using it today, but back then that was brand new. Different slider shafts underneath as well, and of course the now famous 3.3 engine that they put in basically everything besides, I think, the Tmaxx Classic. So this truck had a lot going for it at the time, and it was, I believe it was around the same price or cheaper than the original Savage X. But the main difference really, you know, I mean, this was big block versus small block. It was, you know, metal drivetrain versus kind of a plastic drivetrain. Like, as you saw, this has the plastic drive shafts, and this is an all metal drivetrain throughout, transmission, everything. I think this actually has some plastic transmission gears. So, you know, I mean, it's kind of a toss-up, but it's kind of not. There's a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences. You know, the Tmaxx at this point in time was still slightly smaller. The 4908 that they came out with later, which is the truck that's featured in my other comparison video, is 30 millimeters extended chassis. That one comes with the tuned pipe. This one did not at the time. This particular truck does have the resonator chrome pipe on there, but originally they came with just the plastic pipe. What you did get with the 3.3 as well is a 4 millimeter chassis right here. You know, and again, a lot of revised drivetrain parts and things of that nature. So, you know, what stuck out is the size. The Tmaxx is billed as a 10th scale. The Savage is billed as an 8th scale. When it comes down to it, they're pretty similar. The Savage X is a little bit longer. I think it's maybe slightly wider. The tires are a little bit taller on it as well. I'm not sure if we can get a close-up of that right there. Yeah, they're pretty much the same, actually. Yeah, Savage is slightly more, but not a huge difference. Both have the dual shocks, of course. 3.3 obviously had the small block engine. Savage was big block. Savage was bigger, had the all-metal drivetrain. It had 17 millimeter hexes. The Tmaxx is still using 14 millimeter hexes at this point, right? So that's an upgrade you get with the Savage. Savage has a twin vertical plate chassis, which you can kind of see through here. And that's way different than the Tmaxx with the standard kind of like flat plate chassis with those bulkheads running down the middle. So just a really interesting mix. And at the time there were a lot of magazines, and and that, I mean, that was the thing at the time in 2006, right? Were all the magazines, and man, I loved those. I really miss Extreme RC Cars, RC Driver, Radio Control. I don't know, there's so many, but they were so good. Anyway, but they were all doing comparisons between these, and obviously for good reason. And the funny thing is that both of these models really didn't last that long. I think the original Savage X only lasted maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years, because I know I want to say the summer of 2007 is when the Savage X 4.6 RTR came out, and that had a couple different upgrades. It had, of course, the slightly larger engine, 4.6, 0.28 cubic inch versus this is actually still a 0.25. So you could actually call this the Savage 25 V2 in a way, because the engine size is actually the same, which is funny. But yeah, so this truck really didn't last all that long, maybe about a year and a half or so on the market, and then they came out with the Savage X 4.6. You got a new body, you got the bigger motor. I believe that's mainly it. You did also get metal differential cups. This, I believe, still has plastic cups, 4 spider gears, but still plastic cups. So that was kind of interesting. And really the same story with the Tmaxx. The original Tmaxx 3.3, the 4909, I want to say also only lasted maybe a little bit longer, maybe till about 2008, which is when the 4908 came out with the longer chassis, longer body, and obviously everything. And and then they still make that today, and they still make the X. Theoretically, it's still the X 4.6. They've changed, they've beefed up the differentials and new body, and they went to the orange aluminum instead of the purple. I'm still a fan of the purple, but that's just me. Kind of classic HPI. But yeah, the Tmaxx, they're still doing the 4908 or whatever they call it now, but it's the same longer chassis and stuff like that. But also similar on the Tmaxx and the Savage is, even though those newer models are 15 years newer or whatever, a lot of the parts are still all interchangeable. I mean, you can swap bulkheads and shocks and I believe suspension components and things from this Tmaxx to the brand new one. Same with the Savage. I mean, they're still making the same skid plates, the same exact molds for the arms. They've gone to the single shock, obviously. But, I mean, you can put these shocks on a new Savage and have an 8-shock Savage if you really wanted. So, yeah, these trucks I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. I wanted to make this video because these two trucks in particular have had a very interesting, I don't know if you want to call it fate, but just a very interesting outcome since they came out. They came out together as obviously fierce competitors. And you can argue who won, who's better. I think, as I said in my previous video, I think comparatively to the Savage, the Tmaxx is essentially an F1 car. It brakes amazing. It turns on a dime, again, compared to the Savage X. The engine, in at least my experience, and I'm not the best tuner in the world, but in my opinion, the engine runs, it's just a little easier to tune. I think it has way higher top speed. I have an old magazine, and I think this topped out at like 43, 42, 43, and this was like 33. So huge difference in top speed. Of course, you can change things, but I'm just talking box, you know, out of the box stock is what I'm interested in. So yeah, I mean, they both started out brand new, you know, platforms. Tmaxx with the thicker chassis, the 3.3, the Revo style drivetrain, right? You know, a lot of new stuff for 2006. And then HPI comes out with the brand new Savage, brand new TVPs, you know, brand new chassis, kind of updated drivetrain a little bit. Again, I think the motor's the same, but whatever. They had a lot of new things going there. 17 millimeter versus 14 millimeter hex, right? So Savage was always a little beefier than the Tmaxx. And then both of these models kind of disappeared around start of 2000, I want to say 8 or so. Definitely the original X was gone for sure by 2008. I'm not quite sure about the Tmaxx, but I know that because I bought my X 4.6 on the last day of 2007. And yeah, so really short shelf lives for these guys, but their legacy has been amazing because both of them, again, you can swap brand new parts from the, you know, quote unquote brand new trucks onto these trucks, and I mean, you can run these forever. They still make, of course, the 3.3. They're still making X 4.6 motors, not the 4.1, but you get it. You can still slap in a motor in this truck. You can, you know, upgrade the diffs to the bulletproof diffs. You can do the new 17 millimeter hex conversion that the brand new trucks come with, which is a great upgrade. They should have done that a long time ago. You know, this truck, obviously, again, all the replacement parts. I mean, it's just very, very, like I said, very, very interesting how they kind of came out at the same time as fierce rivals, and you know, their stories are just so similar. And I wanted to do this with the two original trucks because, you know, you can definitely compare the new ones of each. Obviously, they're very similar to these. But I don't know. I just wanted to do it with the OGs, if you will, the original 3.3 and the original Savage X with the 4.1 cc 0.25 motor, and not the X 4.6 RTR that replaced it. Just again, so shortly after the original X came out. So that's really a quick rundown. I think I went over most of the differences with them and a lot of the upgrades that were made from their predecessor. So yeah, just hope you guys enjoyed that, a little history lesson maybe, and get to look at some trucks for a bit. I kind of apologize for my workstation being so messy. I really need to work on more space. That is a new project over there, so that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, I just love these trucks. I don't know why. I just love. It's probably because it's what I was interested in when I was a kid, and when I don't know. I still have a fascination over the nitro monster trucks, whatever. Even though those are so out of favor, no one cares about them anymore. Everyone's running crazy 6S truggies and blah blah blah. And I just love the Savage look, especially, but the Tmaxx as well. They're just so nostalgic to me, and I don't know. Yeah, I just love these trucks. So I wanted to make a quick video showcasing them, talking about the differences between them, and really just trying to highlight their how they intertwine in the RC history, and just how eerily similar their stories are to one another. I don't know. I think that's so cool. So maybe one of you guys will too, and if you do, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear some stories if you had one of these trucks or both, like I do. It'd be great to hear. So anyway, hope you guys have a great day or night, and enjoy the video. If you did, give it a like if you want, or subscribe, or don't subscribe, whatever you're feeling, and I'll catch you in the next one.